Welcome back to KMI Community Connect viewers. Today's episode is an interlude to part 8 of Metabolism Made Easy, where I'm going to be going a little bit more in detail with regards to adenosine monophosphate energy and how it transfers to uric acid and how it promotes fat and various other things. Coming to today's episode, it's very important because we are going to talk about something called glycation. I mentioned in my previous episode, about 2 episodes ago, about glycation, 8 subcellular processes, and one of the important ones is glycation. So what is glycation? You have already known glycation when you go to your physician. When you see hemoglobin A1C, I'm going to write it here, hemoglobin A1C, that's a test that most of you might be getting as a part of your routine blood test as well as for control for diabetes. And we have been told by many labs that go by a standard reference range or by anything that is less than 5.7 in most of the labs percentage is normal, and then anything from 5.8 to 6.4%, they're calling it as pre-diabetes. And then the next one is anything beyond 6.4 or 6.5 and above, rather 6.5 greater or equal to above percentage, they're calling it as diabetes. So this is what we know, and this is what is actually the process. This is the glycation, which you already know. The glycation is basically this. I'm going to explain this a little bit more in detail to have a better perspective about not just numbers and what is it when it is controlled. If your doctor says it's okay, it's normal, it's pre-diabetic, it's diabetic, or it's normal range and things like that. So I'm going to be explaining that to you now more in detail about how to look at this process as a different perspective and why is it connected at the same time to fructose and glucose. So I'm going to make you a little bit more knowledgeable, or rather appreciate, because knowledge is very important for you to appreciate, because you are going to be seeing this in your doctor's office very often, and you will be interpreting this and what actually it really means. So let's talk about that. So this can be connected, the glycation can be connected to the process in our body which is very important, which is aging. We know that all of us are aging, all cells are aging. This process, glycation, is happening in every cell, but we are only taking a red blood cell and measuring that, but this process is happening in every cell. So what is glycation in pure layman terms is aging. And what is that process? This is essentially Browning reaction. What it means is when you are aging, you can see the aging process visibly in wrinkles forming on our skin, or cataracts forming, or you can see hardening of the arteries as they're aging, and various other places where we see this process happening. This is essentially a process called Browning, and I'm going to put this on the screen, the name of this reaction. This was invented back in 1912, and that is going to be listed, the name, on the screen. So this Browning reaction is nothing but glycation, or it is also what is called as caramelization of your, imagine caramelization of your proteins, which is hemoglobin. So this is the inevitable part and also undeniable part of our aging. So the question is, Can we stop aging? No, we cannot stop the aging. But can we slow down the aging? Yes, we can slow down the aging. I will explain this to you in terms of glucose and fructose, why it is so important for us to slow down the process, because the inevitable byproduct of living is end of life. So that cannot be stopped, but we can slow down the process. So what happens here in this whole reaction that happens is, if you put, I will be listing glucose and fructose in two different forms. If you take a glucose molecule, it's a 6 carbon ring, each end is a carbon, 6 carbon ring which is 6 membered ring, and fructose is also a 6 carbon ring, but it is a 5 membered ring. So they are not the same, they are different. They have 5 angles, but it's 6 carbons but only 5 membered ring. So this is glucose, and when you, and this is fructose. Now when your hemoglobin, which is a protein, reacts, for example in glycohemoglobin, we are actually looking at glucose and fructose. So when glucose adds to the hemoglobin, which is a protein, that is when this reaction of browning is happening, and the protein becomes less flexible and it gets damaged. That is the inevitable part of aging anyway, but how quickly it happens versus how slowly it happens. The faster it happens, the faster we age. The slower it happens, the longer we live and we slow down the process. That is very important, and glucose and fructose are completely different when it comes to reacting with protein. One of the examples is the hemoglobin, which is a protein, and that combines with glucose and fructose and causes that process, which is the browning reaction, which is the glycation again. So when glucose is more stable as a 6 carbon ring, and when it combines with protein, it does it much slower. Even though it still makes the aging process, it does it much slower. And so when that process happens in a much slower format, the clearance of the damaged proteins gets easier. But fructose is about 7 times faster. About 7 times faster. That means the damaged protein becomes less flexible and the clearance gets much difficult, because when protein gets damaged, before it clears, the new reaction is happening and then more and more protein is getting damaged. So when that happens, the clearance is much slower and we get what is called as advanced glycation. Again the same process, glycation, which is the process that we are talking. End products, the products that are accumulating and make end products. Now if you see, if it's easy to remember, if you take A and if you take G and if you take E, that's age. Advanced glycation end products are the ones that make the protein, and that is what is happening in the body. So instead of just looking at hemoglobin A1C as a control of your sugar, look at it and see how, understand how quickly our proteins are getting damaged and we are aging, causing all the aging processes to go much faster. So that's the importance of glycation, and I wanted to bring this concept of fructose being different from glucose and how that combines with protein about 7 times faster. Now when this fructose combines 7 times faster, the byproduct that happens, I'm going to put the name of that byproduct on the screen for you, that actually makes this reaction even worse. That makes it about 250 times faster. So the byproduct, not just the fructose, but the byproduct that I'm listing on the screen for you, makes this process even 250 times faster. So to bring this all together, remember when I was talking about how there is a sweet spot in the body for everything. All these metabolites are our friends. They are not bad. Even the cholesterol that we talk about, uric acid that we talk about, they all have to be maintained at a sweet spot, like the 3.5 to 5 that I said. And then this aging process with glycation, where it has to be. These are all natural processes. Same thing with triglycerides, same thing with blood pressure, anything. Don't look at them as if they are causing some damage. Body is making all this as metabolites. But if you keep it as a sweet spot, remember I was talking about a U-shaped curve where there is a sweet spot. And when that happens, a lot of times, remembering the what we call as there is no, it actually goes into a pattern of what do you call, there is no, beyond a certain point there, you don't get more returns. So the law of diminishing returns that I was talking about. So that way you put it at that sweet spot and it works best for you, optimally for you, for your metabolism, and we will be very healthy and living longer. So next episode on part 8, I'll be talking more about adenosine monophosphate and uric acid and how it goes only in one way rather than coming back. I wanted to bring this concept of fructose causing the glycation and aging process because I thought this is very important and connected. We will be connecting all the loose ends and making that connection, so that tying up all those loose ends to make into a perfect optimal metabolic pathway. Thank you, and I will be seeing you very soon.